morning. I'm Susan Walden, and I'm here today with Samuel Bearman to discuss flood insurance claims. Good morning, Mr. Bearman.
Good morning.
What got you involved in flood insurance claims?
The number of hurricanes that we had here in this area. We had two hurricanes in the mid-90s that were very devastating. And so because of all the flooding we had in those two hurricanes, I got involved in handling flood claims. And then in 2004, we had Hurricane Ivan, and that was a terrible storm here and caused quite a bit of flooding. And there were many, many flood claims resulting from Hurricane Ivan. And so I got back involved in handling flood claims and have handled probably in excess of 200 flood claims.
Well, describe what you mean by a flood insurance claim and who would be filing one.
Anybody who gets damaged by flooding from the Gulf of Mexico, or flooding from the Atlantic Ocean, or flooding from a river, or even flooding from a sewage system backing up, those are flood claims. And so anybody who sustains flood damage as a result of that type of water damage would be filing a flood claim if that person has flood insurance. Not everybody has flood insurance. In fact, not enough people have flood insurance. But the person filing a flood claim would be the person with damage like that to his or her structure who has flood insurance.
Please tell us about the flood insurance program.
Flood insurance program is an interesting example of the federal government working at its best. By the 1960s, the insurance companies, the private insurance companies, were basically getting out of writing flood insurance policies. And the federal government stepped in, taking the position that it would issue flood insurance policies because the market had completely closed in terms of private insurance companies writing flood policies. So the federal government made the decision to become the flood insurer. And since then, the federal government has written most or all of the flood insurance policies. I should say probably most, not all, but almost all of the flood insurance policies since the 60s. So even though the insurance policy may have an insurance company's name on there like State Farm or Allstate, the underwriter or the ultimate insurer is the federal government.
I understand there are certain deadlines for flood claims. Can you explain those?
Right. There are at least two very pertinent deadlines. One is the proof of loss for an insured who sustains flood damage has to be filed within 60 days of the damage. That's a real short deadline. Now that deadline can be extended by the FEMA director, and sometimes it is extended when it would seem to be that there will be quite a few flood claims. The FEMA director considers extending that deadline because 60 days is a very short deadline. But that's the deadline in place unless the FEMA director extends the deadline. The other very pertinent deadline is once the claim is not completely paid to the satisfaction of the insured has 1 year to file a lawsuit if he's going to file a lawsuit. Those are the most appropriate and the most compelling deadlines.
1 year from when?
1 year from the time that the claim was not paid to the satisfaction of the insured.
Is an attorney necessary for a flood claim? And if so, how is that attorney paid?
An attorney is not necessary. Probably more claims are resolved without an attorney than with an attorney. If the system works the way it's supposed to, you don't need an attorney, meaning the flood adjuster comes to the site of the loss, the flood adjuster fairly evaluates the loss, the flood adjuster pays or makes sure that the insured gets paid a reasonable amount of money for the loss, If that works, then there is no need for an attorney. The only need for an attorney is if the flood insured does not get adequately compensated for his loss. And if that's the case, the attorney's job is to make sure that the insured does get adequate compensation for all of the flood damage. And the way the attorney gets paid is, at least the way we handle these cases, is on a contingency fee basis, where we get paid a percentage of what we recover. And if there's no recovery, there's no fee due and there's no case expense due either. So that's the way we handle these cases.
Now, I understand that you have co-authored a book on handling flood insurance claims. Tell us about that.
There's an assistant who works with me, and his name is Dennis Abbott, and I think Dennis knows more about flood claims than anybody in the country. So Dennis and I collaborated on a book. There are no books on this topic except the books put out by the federal government, specifically by FEMA. And so we decided that we would fill that void by writing a book that hopefully the insureds can use to get their claims resolved on their own without the need of an attorney. And so we've written the book in a way for the insureds to be able to read it and hopefully understand it and make use of it to get the claim resolved. We don't expect it to be a bestseller. We certainly didn't intend that, but we were in the midst of working on the Hurricane Ivan claims, and we thought it'd be an appropriate thing to do to put it all in book fashion. And it's about a 75-page book, and frankly, an attorney who doesn't understand the flood insurance program can read that book and really get a good understanding of it as well. We expect it to be coming out in the spring of 2009 this year, so we're looking forward to that being published and making it available to those who can make use of it.
That could be a big help to a lot of people.
We think it will be.
The controversy after Katrina was certainly big, made that need very noticeable. So
yes.
That's excellent that you did that.
We're looking forward to it being published, and frankly are excited about it. So.
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you.